Oh no, Saki got all his colors sucked out of him. Here's a look at the NECA, Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Signature Edition, the Shredder. Leaping from the pages, NECA's new Shredder figure is directly inspired by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird's early comic run. From the sculpt right down to a brand new black and white color scheme, the figure comes included with bow and arrow, kasarigama, and a pair of interchangeable hands. Before we get a closer look at a bad guy who's all black and white, I'd like to thank the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide this sample of the TMNT Eastman and Laird Signature Edition Shredder. That's a mouthful that we could have a look at in this video. The thing that's rather interesting about this Shredder is this is the first release in a new partnership between NECA and Walmart's that will be part of the Signature Edition. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. First, though, for Shredhead, the figure stands about 6 inches in height, or the figure's 15 centimeters tall. For your comparisons, even though she has a lot more color, here's what the Signature Edition of Shredder looks like next to the Signature Edition of Rennet. Clearly can see, you probably wouldn't be able to display the two on the shelf together. Shredder has had all his palette pulled away from him, but at least they are a part of the same Signature Edition. The Signature Edition, by the way, is a partnership again between Walmart and NECA, where they have a platform called Auto T, where ordering through Auto T can guarantee, in the case here of Shredder, that 1 in every 10 figures will be randomly selected to have an autograph by Eastman himself. Same also applied for Rennet here. And while we're also on the topic of earlier run Turtle comics, here's what Shredhead also looks like next to Leonardo. I had to stop for a second to realize who this was. Obviously, all the Turtles back in the day would have all had red headbands, but at least the telltale sign of the dueling katanas, we knew right away at least that this was Leonardo. The Auto T platform actually did launch way back in October 3rd of 2022 of last year. The kiosks also would start to show up in Walmart later after that time, where you'd be able to order the figures through the Auto T platform, ensuring the chance at least to be one of the randomly selected 1 in 10 customers to get yourself the true signature version of Shredhead here. In the meantime, though, if you're not too keen on the idea and you don't even have to try to track down one that was signed by Eastman himself, one thing at least you do get from this figure involves me having to move the figure out of the way and maybe even move just all the accessories. I spent all this time to get everything prepared, but just to also show you as well that Shredder, unlike the other regular released Turtle figures, this is nice because they actually include a backdrop where it has the original sketch drawing of Shredder done by Eastman himself. So again, if you're not bothered at all by the idea of not getting an actual autograph, you're getting at least the next best thing, as you're getting an autograph of Eastman somewhat under the name of Shredder. I think that's a nice thing that they included at least. For me, I don't mind the fact I'm not getting myself a signature card. I mean, the whole real reason why I would have been interested in this line anyways is not so much the Signature Edition end of things, but the fact that we're finally getting ourselves a black and white Shredder, marking, I believe, the first time that this mold was actually released to retail store shelves. Prior to that, this guy was actually released as a convention exclusive, packaged along with several foot soldiers, and he was all done in more of that red Mirage color scheme. I know Mirage kind of had different edition prints. One was blue, one was red. The original comic run, at least the San Diego Comic-Con release, was all the more red color scheme. This Shredder was also re-released as well. Some of you may have even watched the review here on this channel as a Loot Crate exclusive, in which he was all that more blue familiar color scheme from the Mirage comics. Sadly, though, and the whole reason why I'm talking away about this and not actually taking the time to bring the figure in, is I don't have any more of that Loot Crate exclusive Shredder. I had a friend that was really interested in the figure. I ultimately gave it to him. Probably should have even asked if I could have borrowed the figure for this review, but nonetheless, it's essentially the same mold as what we're getting right here, including as well the same accessories that also came packaged with both the convention version of Shredder and also the Loot Crate exclusive. Those accessories will include a bow. A bow, in fact, that actually does have a working string. The string is pretty tight, though, so you will not want to pull it too far back. For the wrists, of course, they'll undo on the top and will undo on the bottom. But what's treated to, at least for an all-white figure and all the white accessories, is some additional scratching of black that's added in there as well to really look like it's pulled from the pages of the comic. This does fit into his hands, although really not with the hands he's currently got in the sockets of his forearms. He does also come included with an arrow. The arrow, like with all the other palette of the figure here, is all done here in white. The feather, though, you can see does have some additional lines added in there in black. So it looks like it was also done by hand and with a tiny little pen. But you can also see as well, they've outlined at least the middle of the point, or the end of the arrow. There's no other place where you can actually store this figure. I guess one thing you could do with the bow is that you can actually just drape it around Shredder's shoulder. But for me, at least, when it comes to displaying this figure, I may actually just not do away in the sense I'm going to be throwing these out. That'd be ridiculous. But I'm probably going to be putting those back at least into the tray, and instead displaying Shredder with this instead. I believe this is the Kusarigama, a bladed weapon, in this case, that actually does have a real serviceable chain. All the links, like tiny little family members, have all been linked together, crossing the tiny little stream. What? Anyways, you can take this and again fit this into his hand. To accomplish any of the things I've just finished talking about, the figure also comes included with gripping hands. The gripping hands can easily be removed. We're just going to go ahead and, first of all, remove the defaulted fist hands. Just remove the fist. There we go. Detach it from the forearm. And then, of course, making sure the rules of thumbsies go in. We're going to put the next hand back in that same place where we left the other one. Anyways, though, with that now in his hand, you can then easily take the Kusarigama and just clip that into his hand. Actually, to be fair, not this hand, but this hand right here has pretty soft plastic in his fingers. So I didn't even have to heat the hand. Actually, the plastic is pretty pliable, in fact, on the figure itself. The Kusarigama also does get a little bit of additional silver, which is the only thing that brings color to this otherwise all black and white figure release. Take this. We'll put this to the side. We'll come back to that, I'm sure. In final looks, we'll bring back in that weapon that he can wield. In the meantime, though, let's have a look at Shredder. And while, yes, admittingly, he is missing all the color that the earlier releases would have had, one thing he does have going for him is a menacing-looking Shredder depicted the way the original comic pages had the bad guy. I mean, I love the way they've actually colored this guy. Notably, you can see there's a lot of shadowing happening here, and all the effective design that goes into this figure is all being pulled off simply just by the black marker, or the black lines that they've added to the figure. It does essentially look like you've taken yourself a white plastic figure and then taken yourself a marker, providing you would have had the skill to do this and been able to just draw in all the shadowed details. His eyes, as small as they may be, being the fact that inside it's all black, does help to pop those eyes. Some nice detailing also for the helmet as well. The thing I really like about this figure is mostly the tunic. But one thing I also really like is that in the little small areas, like the back piece that protects the back of his head on his helmet, you can see these tiny little lines, tiny little suggestions of detail that's added all across the back of the figure's helmet. It does make for a really nice detailed figure. I don't really even have any black and white figures in my collection, certainly nothing from NECA. There was, I think, at one point black and white versions of the Mirage comic turtles, but I never got the chance to pick those up. And I hope that maybe with now the introduction of Shredder here as a signature edition, you never know. We can only hope that down the road we may get ourselves black and white versions of the Turtles. Would go very nicely with the Shredder that we're looking at right here. But again, like one of my favorite things about this figure is the way they've colored in the tunic. There's a lot more black here that doesn't make any more appearances anywhere on the figure's body. I mean, yes, in the leg you get a lot more shadowing on the insides of his thighs, and as well, you can see as well, but the gauntlets, there's some nice additional black that they added in there as well. All the blades you'll happen to know are softer plastic, got nothing that's going to break necessarily on the figure. And then, of course, the longer blades on the ends of his hands, again, are softer plastic. They are a little on the gummier side, but nothing. I mean, I'd much rather gummier plastic than brittle plastic that's going to be breaking on the figure. And I don't think there's really anything that's going to be breaking on the Shredder here. The pegs, by the way, the earlier, of course, NECA stuff we were looked at back in the years before, would have all had like clear pegs. Shredder here only just again uses the white plastic pegs, so there's again no risk, nothing worrisome at least for this going to be eventually breaking on the figure. Joints all kind of feel really tight on this guy as well, even though this is technically, I guess, the third time we've gotten this mold. All the joints, the shoulders, the elbows, everything on this figure, in fact, feel really nice and tight. A nice detailing done also to the lower leg as well. We've got some additional of that line added in there. It just goes to show what you can actually accomplish by only just using black and then the backdrop, the main molded part of being white. It's a really neat looking Shredder. I don't really miss at all the fact that there's no color to this guy, because there's so much stuff to look at here when you're looking at the figure. Both the tunic, like the tunic really having the majority of the black, but there's really a lot of cool elements of shadowing that they've added to the figure's body. I'm only hoping that this video is able to pull that all off. For the articulation here on Signature Edition Shredder, the head rotates all the way around. It's on a ball joint, so it does look down. It also allows the head to look up, and you can also rock it back and forth as well. For the shoulders, there's really no restrictions necessarily. You can bring those arms, I would say, about 90 degrees, maybe a little less than that. The shoulders, by the way, aren't attached necessarily to the shoulders. Rather, instead, they're actually attached to the top of the tunic. So when it comes to even rotating the arm forward and back, the shoulder pads aren't going to get in the way of things. And these are also softer plastic as well. The figure does have a bicep swivel. The figure possesses as well a double hinge on the elbow, and the hands rotate also all the way around. For the top of Shredder's tunic, it doesn't look like he's got a ball joint. Rather, instead, he's only got just a straight swivel, which is fine. I don't think he necessarily needs an upper torso ball joint. The figure does have, however, ball joints on the insides of his thighs, and underneath the loincloth, both front and back, it's softer plastic here. You can easily move the legs forward and move the legs back as well. There's a mild swivel at the top of the thigh. The figure also possesses double hinge on the knee, and there's also articulation here in the feet, both up and down this way. A nice ankle rocker, and there's also toe articulation as well. Just in case you're curious, even though this figure doesn't actually come with an included display stand, there are in fact peg holes on the undersides of Shredder's feet. So if you did have yourself a display stand, black, white, or otherwise, you can certainly have that attached onto the figure's body. But, I mean, to be all honest, the figure stands fine. I say that now, and is he going to be giving me problems? Maybe he's not going to give me problems. Stay still, Shredder. Okay, there we go. And again, one last time, we can move over the Shredder. And again, while it's not completely black and white, Rennet definitely isn't black and white. I think likely I'm going to be leaning towards the idea of displaying these guys on the shelf together. Even though they don't really belong together in the sense of what one has no color whatsoever, one has a lot more color going for her. But I'd like to probably, when it comes to displaying them on the shelf, keep all of my signature edition figures together. Now, again, with this one, this is an exclusive to Walmart. And if you guys are interested to get the signature version, which actually does have Eastman's signature, it's, again, a 1 in 10 random selection. So, again, 1 in 10 chances that you're going to get yourself a signature card. At the end of the day, I'm not disappointed that I didn't get a signature card. I mean, yes, for those that wanted to get themselves specifically a signature of Eastman, yes, you would probably be more disappointed the fact that you didn't get one with a figure, or you may have the luck of the draw of actually getting one in stores. But for me, the sell of this, picking the whole reason why I would have wanted to get the Shredder in the first place, is not only because it looks like the original comic run Shredder, but I love the idea that they brought this figure to retail, sucked all the colors out of him, and made him solely black and white. Originally released by NECA way back in 2016 as a New York Comic-Con exclusive, this same mold of Shredder got also included and packed along with 4 other foot soldiers. Sadly, I never got the chance to pick up that box set, and now it goes for some crazy, stupid money. You want to talk crazy, stupid money? Try looking up this box set over on places like eBay. Still, though, I did get the chance to get the black and white version of this one that we did, of course, look at in this review. And prior to that, we had looked at the Loot Crate exclusive, which essentially was this mold done more in an all-blue color scheme. If you didn't get the chance to get that original Shredder, and again, you don't want to pay the crazy stupid money to get that Shredder now, not only can you get this release in a retail version, but you can also get the foot soldiers that went along in that box set as standalone separate releases, because NECA have not only done the black and white version of Shredder, but would you also believe that they've also done black and white versions of those same foot soldiers too? Now, again, with this one, you could go through the process of the Auto T kiosks, which I believe are now popping up in Walmart stores as of last year. You can go into the kiosk and order your figures that way, where then one randomly selected one of 10 figures will get that exclusive autograph card. For me, I had no real interest to get, yeah, it would have been nice. Obviously, any autograph would be nice to have. But that's not the real reason why I would have wanted to get the Shredder in the first place. The wanting to get this Shredder was because I liked the mold initially, and regretted, in fact, that I gave away that Loot Crate, even though I know my friends enjoyed the Loot Crate exclusive Shredder. I finally now have a black and white version of Shredder, and when we have a look at, of course, the upcoming foot soldier in an upcoming video, that's the way I'm going to have those Shredders and that foot soldier on display. I would have preferred the color, and I would have preferred the or the box set, the New York Comic-Con box set. But again, for the price of what those things go for now, I'm perfectly content just to have the Shred Head here in all black and white. What do you guys think of this figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. And have you tried yet the exclusive Auto T kiosk? Have you even had a chance to pick up any of these signature edition figures that have had that very exclusive, very elusive signature card inside? Do let me know your stories of this down below in the comments section. Once again, a big thank you to the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide this sample of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Eastman and Laird Signature Edition Black and White Shredder. If you guys enjoyed this video, want to hit with a like. If you're loving the content you guys are seeing and do want to stick around for more, then make sure you hit this subscribe button down below. I've been talking about signatures this whole time. I wanted to say signature, but no, hit the subscribe button down below and move on over to the bell notification. And while I've already tipped my hat early, we have finished up, of course, the review of the Shredder. The review of the black and white foot soldier, on the other hand, or maybe on the other foot, will be coming up in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.